One routine mission, 6 vanished planes, 27 men lost forever. What really happened in the Bermuda Triangle? And why does this cursed stretch of ocean keep swallowing ships and aircraft without a trace? This is the mystery of Bermuda Triangle and how to survive at this point of no return called Bermuda Triangle. Stay tuned and hit that subscribe button.
At 2 p.m. on December 5, 1945, 5 U.S. Navy torpedo bombers took off from the Naval Air Station in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Their destination was a mysterious region of the Atlantic Ocean known as the Bermuda Triangle zone, stretching between Miami, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico. By the 1940s, this area had already gained notoriety for a troubling number of unexplained disappearances involving ships and planes. Despite growing concerns, no clear explanation had emerged. The 5 aircraft were part of a routine training mission known as Flight 19. Leading the group was Lieutenant Charles Taylor, a seasoned pilot with over 500 hours of flight experience, a significant amount at the time. With such a capable leader, few expected anything to go wrong. The plan was straightforward: fly east over the ocean, drop practice bombs over a coral reef called Hens and Chickens, head north over Grand Bahama Island, and finally turn west to return to base. The weather forecast was favorable, with clear skies and only a slight chance of scattered showers. Initially, everything proceeded as planned. Flight 19 successfully completed the bombing exercise and began their turn north. But as they approached Grand Bahama Island, things took a strange turn. Around 3:45 p.m., nearly 2 hours into the flight, Lieutenant Taylor radioed the control tower, sounding confused and distressed. He reported seeing no land in sight and feared that they had strayed off course. The Fort Lauderdale tower responded, asking for his position, but received no immediate reply. Visibility was good, and the aircraft should still have been in range. Yet, to the tower crew's surprise, there were no planes visible on the horizon. Eventually, Taylor responded again, "We cannot be sure where we are. We cannot see land." Repeated attempts to establish communication were met with silence. Then, a new voice crackled over the radio, another pilot from the group. "We cannot find west. Everything is wrong. Everything looks strange, even the ocean." Soon after, it was reported that Taylor had handed over command to another pilot for unknown reasons. The situation continued to deteriorate. One pilot radioed in panic, "We cannot tell where we are. Everything is. Cannot make out anything. We think we may be about 225 miles northeast of the base." His words became increasingly incoherent before he finally added, "It looks like we are entering whitewater. We're completely lost." Realizing the severity of the situation, the Navy dispatched 2 rescue planes to the last known location of Flight 19. However, just 10 minutes after takeoff, these rescue aircraft also lost all communication with the control tower. In less than 30 minutes, 6 aircraft had vanished in the skies over the Atlantic Ocean. In the following days, the US Navy and Coast Guard launched an extensive search operation. Covering more than 250 square miles of ocean, they found no wreckage, no survivors, and no trace of the 27 men who had disappeared. Flight 19 became one of the most puzzling incidents associated with the Bermuda Triangle region, already haunted by tales of mysterious vanishings. But why here? Why have so many experienced pilots and mariners disappeared in this part of the ocean? Years later, investigators proposed a theory: compass malfunction. Numerous pilots and sailors have reported compass issues while navigating through the Bermuda Triangle. It's believed this may have also affected Flight 19. Lieutenant Taylor reportedly mistook his location, believing they were flying over the Florida Keys and attempting to navigate back to the mainland by heading northeast. In reality, the group was near Grand Bahama Island, which can resemble the Keys from above. Taylor's compass had stopped working, and other pilots in the squad also experienced unusual compass behavior. Believing they were off course, Taylor ordered a northeast heading, ironically, taking them further out to sea. Some of the pilots challenged this decision, arguing they were still on the correct path, and urged a course change back west. Taylor agreed, and they began heading toward Florida. But by this time, they were already far out over the ocean, and fuel was running low. Eventually, Taylor reversed course again, setting a northeast direction once more, unknowingly guiding Flight 19 even deeper into the Atlantic and into history. Flight 19 was rapidly running out of fuel and had lost its way. It is believed that the aircrafts eventually crashed into the Atlantic Ocean, likely somewhere north of Abaco Island and east of Florida, tragically ending the lives of all 14 crew members. 2 rescue planes were dispatched to search for Flight 19, but they too met a tragic fate. Witnesses aboard nearby ships reported seeing an explosion in the distance. The aircraft used in the rescue mission had a known vulnerability to fuel leaks, which likely led to a mid-air explosion. One puzzling aspect of the Flight 19 incident was the malfunctioning compasses experienced by many of the pilots. This phenomenon has been commonly reported in the Bermuda Triangle, where navigational instruments frequently behave abnormally. In this region, compasses sometimes point to the geographic North Pole rather than the magnetic North Pole difference of approximately 1-200 miles, which can cause significant navigational errors. A prevailing theory attributes this magnetic anomaly to the remnants of an ancient underwater volcano, which originally formed the island of Bermuda. This volcano left behind massive deposits of basalt, a volcanic rock that forms when magma cools. Basalt in this region is rich in iron and magnetite minerals known for their unusual magnetic properties. Magnetite is, in fact, the most magnetic naturally occurring substance on Earth. Around 500 billion tons of magnetite are believed to be concentrated in the basalt near Bermuda. This immense quantity of magnetized rock is likely responsible for the compass errors experienced by Flight 19 and countless other navigators in the area. Studies have shown that compasses can deviate by as much as 10 degrees due to this magnetic interference, and these volcanic deposits have been detected up to 200 miles from Bermuda, suggesting a wide area of influence. While some experts believe these magnetic anomalies are only part of the story, there's another theory that is rarely discussed: methane gas blowouts. These occur when large amounts of methane are suddenly released from the ocean floor. Some researchers suspect such an event may have caused the disappearance of an aircraft carrying 31 passengers. One early airline, British South American Airways, founded by World War II veterans to connect Europe and South America, may have fallen victim to this phenomenon. The aircraft in question was the Tudor Star Tigera, pioneering passenger plane capable of crossing the Atlantic. On January 28, 1948, the Star Tiger departed from Lisbon, Portugal, en route to Bermuda. A scheduled refueling stop was planned in Santa Maria in the Azores. At that time, severe storms were reported across much of the Atlantic. Exercising caution, the plane's experienced captain, Brian McMillan, opted to delay their departure and wait out the storm. The following day, January 29, although strong winds persisted, the storms had mostly cleared. Captain McMillan decided to proceed with the flight and maintained a low cruising altitude of just 20 feet to avoid the harsher conditions present at higher elevations. At 3:15 a.m., while flying through the night, Captain McMillan checked in with air traffic control in Bermuda. He confirmed the aircraft's position and estimated time of arrival 5:00 a.m., indicating that less than 2 hours remained in the journey. That would be the last communication ever received from the Star Tiger. Around 3:50 a.m., Bermuda Air Traffic Control attempted to re-establish contact with the Star Tiger, but there was no response. They waited and tried again around 4:40 a.m., close to the aircraft's expected arrival time. Still, no word came from the plane. At that point, Bermuda declared a state of emergency. The US Air Force stationed in Bermuda immediately launched a search operation. It was now well past 5:00 a.m. and neither Captain McMillan nor the Star Tiger could be found. No distress call had been received. What followed was a large-scale search and rescue mission involving 26 military aircraft, which flew a combined total of 882 hours over the Atlantic Ocean. The operation lasted 5 days, yet no wreckage or trace of the Star Tiger was ever discovered. Some theories suggest a methane gas blowout may have caused the disappearance. Methane hydrotase gas trapped under the ocean floor can be released suddenly due to tectonic activity, underwater landslides, or seafloor warming. When this happens, massive plumes of methane shoot into the water and sometimes into the air. For ships, this gas release can be dangerous. The methane reduces water density, creating foamy water that can't support the weight of a vessel. A ship caught in such a zone can rapidly sink. As for planes, a methane release into the atmosphere might ignite engine fires, since methane is highly flammable. Though this risk is low at high altitudes, Captain McMillan was flying at only 2 0 feet to avoid strong winds, making the methane theory more plausible in this case. Still, experts argue that methane blowouts are more likely to sink ships than down aircraft. Another possibility is pilot error. Throughout the flight, Captain Macmillan mistakenly reported that the plane was flying at 20 feet, when in fact, it was cruising at just 2 feet. Bermuda air traffic assumed it was simply a typo missing a 0. But if the captain forgot his actual altitude during descent, the plane might have continued lowering until it unintentionally crashed into the ocean. While the Startiger's fate may have resulted from pilot oversight, another major disappearance happened later that same year, and this one wasn't so easy to explain. On December 27, 1948, at 7:40 p.m., a DC-3 aircraft landed at San Juan Airport in Puerto Rico. Like the Startiger, the DC-3 was among the earliest passenger planes. It had just flown in from Miami and was scheduled for a quick turnaround, drop off passengers, pick up new ones, and return to Miami. After landing, Captain Bob Lindquist informed ground engineers that the landing gear indicator light hadn't illuminated. Checks revealed the battery was low on charge. Recharging it fully would take several hours. Eager to depart, Captain Lindquist decided to rely on the plane's generator to recharge the battery in the air. The ground crew agreed, and 28 passengers boarded the DC-3 for the flight to Miami. Just before takeoff, another issue emerged. The radio transmitter wasn't working properly again due to low battery. While the captain could receive messages, he couldn't send any. This had to be fixed before departure, so the plane waited until a new battery restored two-way communication. At 10:03 p.m., with all systems appearing functional, the DC-3 took off. The captain was instructed to remain near San Juan until Miami confirmed stable two-way contact standard protocol, especially after the earlier radio trouble. The plane circled San Juan for 11 minutes before establishing communication with Miami's tower. With the connection secured, the DC-3 turned northwest toward Florida. At 11:23 p.m., a little over an hour into the flight, Captain Lindquist sent a routine position update. The plane was cruising at 8,300 feet with an estimated arrival time of 4:03 a.m. The radio transmission from Captain Lindquist was successfully received at Miami Airport, approximately 700 miles away. Strangely, however, San Juan Airport, much closer to the aircraft's actual position, did not pick up the signal. Later in the flight, as the DC-3 approached Miami and prepared to descend, Captain Lindquist sent another position update. At this point, the plane was just 50 miles south of Florida and expected to land in 20 minutes. Oddly, this second transmission wasn't received by Miami, but instead reached the New Orleans airport nearly 600 miles away. Recognizing that the message wasn't meant for them, New Orleans airport promptly relayed the transmission to Miami. Concerned, Miami Airport attempted to re-establish contact with the DC-3, but all efforts were met with silence. Repeated attempts to communicate yielded no response. The DC-3 never arrived in Miami. The 28 passengers and 3 crew members aboard were never seen again. The US Coast Guard and Navy launched a massive search operation spanning hundreds of thousands of square miles, yet no trace of the aircraft or its occupants was ever discovered. Despite numerous investigations, the fate of this flight remains a mystery. One plausible theory is that the aircraft's electrical issues resurfaced mid-flight, causing both the radio and navigational instruments to fail. Without reliable communication or the ability to determine their exact location, the crew would have struggled to stay on course, especially in the pitch-black skies over the ocean at night. It's possible the DC-3 veered off course, ran out of fuel, and crashed far from its expected route. While some speculate that factors like magnetic anomalies or methane gas blowouts are responsible for such disappearances in the Bermuda Triangle, many researchers point to more grounded explanations. The region's frequent hurricanes and severe weather patterns are often considered the most likely culprits. Many of the hurricanes that pass through the Bermuda Triangle begin forming off the west coast of Africa. There, hot, dry air from the Sahara meets warm, moist air over the Atlantic, creating atmospheric instability that can lead to thunderstorm clusters and, eventually, hurricanes. These storms are carried westward by ocean currents and global wind patterns, gaining strength over the warm waters of the Atlantic. By the time they reach the Bermuda Triangle, they can be powerful and highly destructive. Storms continue to grow in intensity as long as they remain over warm ocean waters. Once they reach land, the lack of moisture causes them to weaken. But within the triangle, where the waters are warm and open, they can be particularly devastating. While it's hard to determine the exact number of aircraft lost in the Bermuda Triangle, estimates range from 50 to 100 over the past century. Many of these cases involve small, private planes, making verification more difficult. Most of the disappearances seem to be linked to human error, outdated navigation systems, and violent storms, especially before the advent of modern GPS technology. Looking ahead, changes in the Earth's climate may alter the geography of the Bermuda Triangle. As global temperatures rise and sea levels increase, the characteristics of the region and its impact on aviation and maritime travel could shift in unforeseen ways.
Six planes, dozens of lives, zero answers. The Bermuda Triangle doesn't just erase aircraft, it erases history. And to this day, no one knows how many more will vanish into its depths. If you dare to uncover more unsolved mysteries, hit subscribe and ring the bell. Because on True Crimes, the truth is never what it seems.